But we have programs at Provincetown Elementary, Truro Elementary, Wesley, and East End. And really our mission is to celebrate local food while educating about our bodies and our environment. So there's a lot of focus on soil health and local food, and really speak a word about the importance of local food and the health of our environment. So we run the Truro and the Keystone Farmers Markets, which are coming up real soon. Let's see. May 18th is the first Provincetown Farmers Market, Saturday in Keystone. And then June 3rd is the first Monday in Truro, the first Truro Market. So be sure to get yourself there. So every Monday throughout the season until the fall, we'll have the Truro Farmers Market, and then every Saturday the Keystone Market. We run a lot of different food access programs, veggie fruit and veggie prescription program, Kids CSA for the winter for low income families. We really do everything we can to really uplift our local growers and get food to as many people as possible. So this program is awesome because we're honoring and bringing in local chefs and celebrating local food. So we get funding from the Department of Agriculture to run this program, and then we have a sister program where we buy $400 worth of a local crop every month. And with that food, we take it to 3 community kitchens, and the community kitchens use the food. So this month we're celebrating eggs. Victoria's actually here from Wealthy Chicken Coop. We have her gorgeous eggs that Chef Caleb is going to use today. And every month it's different. So be sure to keep an eye on the sustainablecape.org website. We have 3 more harvest highlight events for the season, 1 in May and 2 in June. And big thanks to Truro Library for being a home for us for these events. They're really wonderful. And I just want to introduce Jackie, who's right here in front of the computer. She's our program manager with Sustainable Cape. Francie Randolph is here. She's the director of Sustainable Cape. We've got Nate from Provincetown TV. So it's really a great community event. One other quick thing. We've got the Children's Garden every Tuesday here at the library. There's a poster here. I run the Children's Garden program, so educating kids on how to grow food. And then we also have this row a row program. So if you are a gardener and you want to grow an extra row for your neighbors, there are refrigerators. There's one here at the Truro Library. There's one in Howe, Provincetown Library. You'll see there's all these places with these beautiful new refrigerators where you can actually bring the uncut produce, put it in the fridge, and then people can come and take the food home. So if you're a gardener, and you can bring it to the farmer's market. The other thing is tomorrow, if you like to volunteer, you're interested in volunteering with us, we're having a gathering tomorrow at 11. So just come and talk to me or talk to Jackie. We can give you all that info. But today we're so excited to have Chef Caleb Lester here from Ciro and Sal's. I just learned that Ciro and Sal's has been around for almost 70 years in Provincetown. So if you haven't been there, please do go and enjoy the food. It's really an incredible place honoring classic Italian recipes and using a lot of local ingredients. So high quality ingredients, local produce, local meats. Chef Caleb actually butchers veal twice a week in-house. He has so much experience working in LA at different restaurants, and then being here, he's now executive chef and owner of Ciro and Sal's, and he comes just with so much skill and enthusiasm. So welcome. Hi. And always share questions. This is a nice conversation with the chef, so take advantage of this awesome chef being here, and then we'll all have something to taste as well. So thank you so much, and thank you, Chef Caleb.
Before you start, I just want to say that this is also sort of envisioned as a bit of an economic driver. So you're going to get to taste the amazing food from Ciro and Sal's. And this has been a restaurant that my family has gone to ever since we moved here about 25 years ago for a major event. And I'm so happy to have you all here. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm really excited to start and talk about eggs. When Sarah first approached me to this, she was like, next month is greens, and last month, told me about the months. And when she told me this month was eggs, I was ecstatic. Eggs are really cool, a lot more than you know. So eggs are actually what they call complete protein. It has every protein in one egg, right? So it's also, it's actually really cool. So eggs have every vitamin and every mineral. Every vitamin and every mineral that your body needs to sustain itself, other than vitamin C. So if you have eggs in an orange in the morning, you've at least touched every vitamin that your body needs. Boom, right there. So, yeah, I always say starting your day with eggs, great way to start. Yeah, so what we're gonna make today is carbonara. It's a very classic dish, which is funny because it's actually only been around for about as long as Ciro's. It's actually invented like in the 40s. It was invented in World War II. Yeah, after, so like Americans came over, what was in Italy, and in their rations, they had these powdered eggs. I mean, not as good as these, obviously. And then it had bacon. So, you know, when the war ended, they were all there and they had a surplus of these eggs and these bacon, and they didn't know what to do with them. And they were like, well, you know, let's make a dish out of it. And that's where carbonara came. A lot of people say, you know, variations here and there, has cream, doesn't have cream, peas, no peas, you know, there's a lot of variations, but the way I like to cook is that kind of whatever you want, it's kind of, you know, do whatever makes you feel good. So using local ingredients, oh, also, these eggs are gorgeous eggs. And as you see about these different color eggs, that's from different types of chickens. People don't know that, you know, eggs, the brown eggs that you get are from one type of chicken, you know, different color eggs. The reason why you see mostly brown eggs in stores is because usually they're larger, and they're producing them. That's, I mean, what they say at least, easier to produce. Yeah, so we're gonna get started. I'm gonna tell you guys what I'm gonna do. Please ask questions throughout this. Any questions, definitely ask. We're gonna cook up some bacon, make some fresh pasta. Usually carbonara is not made with fresh pasta. It's actually a very unique thing. In Italy, I traveled to Italy multiple times. In Italy, people think that, or here, people think that fresh pasta versus dried pasta, that one's better than the other. That's just not the case. Like, I will make some fresh pasta just because it's another way to utilize eggs, and it's just a fun thing to do. But really, they're just used differently. Sometimes you use one, sometimes you use the other, and that's mostly dependent on the dish. Absorbing pasta, absorbing sauce, that's dry pasta. You know, fresher, say you want to do a pesto, a lot of times that's fresh pasta. So it's really more dependent on the dish, not that one is better than the other. So we'll make some fresh pasta, but I think we'll use some dry pasta as well, just because that's how the dish is supposed to be. All right, so I'm gonna start. And first thing we're gonna do is cut up some bacon. Now, this bacon is from place here in Truro, Hillside Farm. And it is Drew Law. I don't know if you guys know, but he has great meats, chickens, cows, pork. I mean, it's some of my favorite ever. He actually is also at the farmer's market.
Yep,
Yeah.
Truro and Provincetown.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have any time, you know, after you taste this, it's night and day, the difference between really good bacon and the stuff you get in the store, sometimes preservatives and all the stuff added to it. It's nice. So. Oh, too many. I have a lot. I'll tell you. So this is my normal chef knife, an 8-inch chef knife. A lot of people like the 6-inch. It's a little bit easier to handle. But with like the quantity that I do at cooking at Ciro's, it's just much easier, you know, to use an 8-inch. This is a butcher knife. It's a small butcher knife. As I said, as Sarah explained, I break down all my veal in house. So I get a whole veal leg, debone it, And all the veal that you get at Ciro's is from that leg. So, I mean, we use every part of it. The meatballs, I grind up the meat, the meatballs. I get, bones from it. We make all of our sauces from the bones. So there's literally no part of that goes to waste. These all are used for that. And there's more of that. So. Yes. So, when cutting up the bacon for this, again, some people will say it matters the size, you want bite-sized pieces. I like to do about an inch, inch-sized pieces. So when you see bacon, there's two pieces of bacon. There's the fat and the lean. As you can see, this has great, well, I don't know if you guys can tell, but there's a great, a great ratio of fat to lean here. So a good 1 inch piece is exactly what you want. So just cut it all the way through. That. Yeah. And then we're gonna, for the first time, try this.
Cross your fingers.
See what happens? Look at that.
Induction, portable, yeah. Induction.
Yeah. Good. Look at that. Just like that.
Caleb, how many servings are you preparing right now?
So for a
What
pound of
you're
bacon,
using?
I would recommend about six servings per pound of bacon. That's how much this is. I have other bacon cooked off, just in case, this looks like a little bit more than 6 people here. So I wasn't gonna have you guys just watch me cook bacon. In the restaurant, we will cook upwards to 10, 15, 20 pounds of bacon in a day. And only oil. We can serve 25 to 30 portions a day. And it's fun, our sizes, I'd say, are a little bit bigger than the recommended size. So, we cook a lot. So all I did was put this into a cold pan. Just in a cold pan, it's just gonna render. So what rendering means is to slowly cook out the fat, is really what you're trying to do. So get that, as I said, there's two pieces, two parts, the fat and the lean. You're just kind of cooking off the fat, and then just by doing it slowly, the lean is actually gonna cook in its own fat, which is the best way to cook bacon. All right, so I'm gonna get started while I'm doing this on some pasta. It's homemade pasta is a great way to also utilize eggs. So a lot of dried pasta has no eggs in it. So if you go to our place at Ciro's and Sal's, our dried pasta has no eggs in it. So it's vegetarian, vegan friendly, all, definitely vegan. And, but a lot of homemade pasta, a lot of fresh pasta will have, egg in it. It's a great way to add protein to it. And it kind of makes it a little bit more dense, kind of more dumpling-like, if you will. All right, so I have here already measured out 2 cups of flour. This recipe for pasta is actually really easy. It's something that you can use. It's a very simple recipe you can make at your house, and it's a basic recipe. So from here, you could add, chopped spinach and make it into like a spinach pasta. There's so many things you can do for this pasta if you want to add certain things to it. But this is just a basic recipe that you could easily make at your house. All it is 2 cups of flour, 3 eggs, and a little bit of olive oil and salt. And then you make pasta just like that. I mean, that's it. Everyone thinks it gets very intimidated by making pasta, and it's very simple. So,
Do you have a preference of what type of flour?
yeah, so it's funny. That's a great question. I actually go back and forth between like a 00 flour, which has less protein in it. But this is an all-purpose flour, and that's the other thing I like to say about carbonara is the cool thing about this is you can make this dish with most of the stuff that you have in your pantry. Everyone has a box of pasta somewhere in the back of the pantry. You have bacon, you have eggs, and a little bit of cream, and I mean, you can make this dish just like that. It's not like, oh, let me go to the store, have to buy all this stuff. You can make this dish, and people get intimidated by carbonara. I think the name kind of makes people like, oh, carbonara, I don't know what that is, but it's like, this is the type of dish that you could make on a Wednesday for the family, or you could also bring it to a dinner party, and people would be like, oh, carbonara, you know, so it's kind of a cool thing to do both with. So all I have here is 2 cups of flour, and I'm just gonna sift 2 cups of flour. So a lot of times I'll make this in a bowl. But there's not as much aesthetic for that right now. So I'm gonna make it in. I'm gonna make that right here. This is how you make it in Italy. So you make 2 cups of flour. You're gonna make a nice well in the middle of this. Now, I don't know if that process does anything. I've done it both ways, while just putting eggs in it, and I've made a well and slowly incorporated it. I'm not sure if there's a difference, but I mean, I do it this way anyway, just because that's the way I was taught to do it.
Have you made it without sifting?
Without sifting it? Yeah, I made it without sifting it. That's gonna, you want the flour, it's definitely, you definitely want to sift the flour. It's kind of similar to like the 00 flour. It's very fine. So you want to make sure that you're getting a lot of fine pieces. Sifting the flour is very important. I have done, what you're gonna do is get a little bit more brittle. It's gonna kind of break a little bit easier, and you possibly won't be able to hold up and soft. So, bacon is rendering slowly on the same, but it's rendering. We're here sometimes. Now, let's make a nice well right here in the middle. You have your flour. Going to just going to crack 3 eggs into this bowl here. When you're cracking eggs into a bowl, you always want to crack it into a separate bowl first. The reason for that is you'll find maybe some impurities in the bowl. I mean, in the egg. And it's easier to discard, or say if you crack it in the shell in it, say you just crack 8 eggs into a bowl and then you just crack 1 more and then there's shell in it. You have to try to get through the 8 eggs to get that shell. Cracking into a separate bowl is a lot. So just crack it in, make sure the eggs look great, looks perfect, and then it's right into it. So, and you're gonna repeat that. Perfect table.
Yeah.
Great. Shell. Cool fact about eggs. When you see a chef's hat, right? So you know they have those ridges in the chef's hat. A lot of people say now, I'm sure it's true, but a lot of people say that that's a different way that chefs are supposed to know how to prepare an egg, each ridge. So like, there's thousands of ways to prepare an egg. So if you know something, a lot of times if you go into a job interview as a chef, they'll say, you know, make me an omelet. Simple dish done right is really what they want to do. Many people can sit there and make, you know, these dishes after trained a long time, but it's kind of restraint. Kind of reminds me of painting, like my mom's an artist. Kind of reminds me of that. It's like sometimes restraint is the hardest part of being a chef. You just want to keep adding more. You're like, oh, maybe I put a little bit more of this in, or a little bit more of this in. And it's probably the hardest part is to give yourself that restraint. So all I'm doing is just beating these eggs up a little bit, giving a little air into the eggs.
So 3 eggs?
3 eggs, yes. And then all it is just a tablespoon of salt. And a little bit. Well, and that's it. Oh. We don't want to leave that. So this is, we'll see how,
The
looks like it's actually,
egg's gonna run right up.
yeah, it's gonna run down a little bit, so, you know what? We're in this together now. So then, once you get that in there, you kind of just slowly incorporate the flour into it. Again, this sounds intimidating, but if you were to just put this in a mixer and mix it, it would work just as well.
Oh.
So you slowly get the flour into it. I mean, you might get a 5% fluffier pasta with this, a little bit more of a chew. But, I mean, if you're at home and you're like, I don't want to do that process, and you put this just right into a stand mixer and mix it all up together, it would work fine. And then, the fun part, once you get a little mixed together is, again, what my mom says, that's cool to your hands. And this is where the fun begins. Great to do with kids. You know, I mean, not at this point, but once you start getting into a dough, it's a lot like Play-Doh. You just kind of knead it for a while and tell them to go at it. So you just get it in there. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Right. And then
See it running off.
we'll just form a nice little dough here. And all I'm doing is kind of pushing it back into itself. So I'm just taking the outside of it and pushing it back into itself. Once it starts coming together, you can kind of feel it. It starts kind of becoming more of a dough, it starts kind of holding the shape a little bit better. Then you can kind of start actually kneading it. Okay.
You would add any optional ingredient like the spinach or?
Yeah, so
Right.
this would be the time, for sure. And the only thing that you would have to worry about when adding things like that, say spinach, or if you want to be fancy, squidding, which is easy to do, is that the water content will be a little bit higher. So you might have to dust a little bit more flour onto it. But other than that, there would be no other difference. Yeah, this is the time where you want to add spinach, or, I mean, nowadays they have roasted red pepper, you blend up roasted red peppers, you put roasted red peppers in it, make it red, make it, you know, the colors are fun to play with. And now this dough. Yeah, this would be the time you start doing all that. And any other flavor, if you want to say, you want to add, you have a little bit of truffle salt. I would like to play a little truffle salt, a little truffle oil, you know, not too much. Unless you're my brother, he just douses it. But yeah, and then you start kneading the dough. And by kneading it, what I'm doing is I'm folding it onto itself. So I flatten it out. It's really just using the palm of your hand. So you use it right here, and you just push it down. And then fold it over onto itself, and then turn it and push it down. And what you're doing is really just starting to work all those proteins. This is where a lot of the gluten is actually coming out. It makes it a little bit more glutinous when you start moving the flour like this. You're starting to really get it. So that gives it that nice elasticity. You know, again, I'm going to use that word chew, I guess. It's like when you bite into pasta and it kind of folds back a little bit to you. So you just want to work it out.
You dry that?
What?
Can you dry?
Yeah,
it?
so the best way to dry, yeah, great question. Yeah, to dry this, very simple, and you can dry it and also freeze it. So what you could do, if you want to say store this, and you wanted, you could wrap this in plastic, put it in your freezer, and you can store this frozen. Which is the best way to do it. Now, if you want to dry the pasta, it is a little bit more of a process. You're gonna dry. You have, after you cut it, you want to dry it. You wouldn't want to dry it as a ball. You'd roll it out, cut it, and then flour it, hang it, and if you air dry it. You also could, yeah, dehydrator, but like that's not something most people have in their house. You can have to hang it. Sometimes it's many, it could be, I'd say like a whole day, 24 hours. And what you're doing is taking out all of the water content of it, because anything that's making something go bad, what that is it has to have water content. Bacteria won't survive without water. So like, that's really what you're looking for there. So you need this dough for about 10 minutes. Again, this is where the kids get come in, so have them do it. So instead, I think you're going to have a dough that takes a little bit. And after you need it for about 10 minutes, it'll go from kind of floury and like this, and you have this nice color. No, more like this. And it's like a nice color of dough. Again, if I sat there for another 20 minutes and needed this, that's where this comes to play. We're not gonna do that. So the next step, the fun step, is using it. This is actually my wife's, but mine is white and not as pretty, so So we're gonna cut this in fourths. I would always recommend cutting it in fourths if you use this recipe. If you try to manipulate too much at one time, it's not gonna feed to the machine very well, and also it might get a little tough because you're gonna overwork it. So bacon's coming together. Sounds good. Not bacon. Actually, not bad watching the cooking while smelling bacon.
You're gonna make us hungry, yeah.
Bacon.
So when you're doing this, after you've already got it all nice and perfect, you just flatten it out a little bit. You know what I haven't done? Yeah, there we go. Haven't checked that.
I know.
So this actually is a cool attachment. It has a middle roller. A lot of them will just have a roller, which is flattens the dough. But this actually has a roller and it has a cutter, which is pretty cool, because then you don't have to cut it yourself either. So you want to flatten this out, and there's 9 settings on this. A lot of them will have at least 5 or 6, but the more settings, kind of just the easier it is to deal with. Little note, I'm pushing down too hard on this table. All right, so we're gonna put it on slow and put it on to the lowest one. This passes through the lowest one. And all you're doing is really just flattening that out. And then what you're gonna do is fold it onto itself like that and pass it through the other way. See, so. Now you're gonna do that one more time. This way. And right through one more. Okay, so now I'm just going to work the pasta through. And as I do this, what I'm doing is I'm just gonna go down. So what going down in setting means is that it's just getting a smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So that first one was a wide gap, so it's easier to get through. And as you see, as I go through this, it's just gonna start coming a little bit longer. And then you just go a little bit lower. Feed it through again. You want to try to make sure you get it into the middle of the rolling pin. Yeah. I always find this pretty clear too. Someone do lasagna. I'm just guiding it through, the machine doesn't look to work. I have had to do this without a machine and with some other fun. And so for the last time through. Nice thin pasta dough. Yeah, you want to be able to basically, see your hand do it, but so you're seeing the shadow of your hand. And so at this point, you could make anything. This is just pasta dough, right? But you could make raviolis with it, lasagna with it. I mean, this is just a plain pasta dough. And this, what I would do normally here, what I'll do again, is just square this off. You can reuse this pasta dough if you wanted, but I would square it up a little bit. I would square it up a little bit better if it was easy. And so now what you're going to do is actually just feed this through. So there's two cutters here, fettuccine and a linguine. The linguine is just an easier one to do. It's more traditional for carbonara. And so then you just feed it through. See that?
That is. Fettuccine? I have pasta.
And yeah, so then you have, and what I would do right away, always, even if you're going to cook it basically right away, is I would take a little flour and just dust it a little bit. That's gonna keep it from sticking to itself. If you kind of push it back to itself, it'll one big thing of pasta. Unless you want fettuccine, that's not what I would say. Yeah. And then you have your pasta. It's pretty easy. All right, so I have some water boiling back here, which doesn't work on this stove, so I'm just gonna stuff that in there. So when you're salting pasta water, I know it seems very easy, but it actually is really important. Pasta water is one of the biggest utilized things that chefs utilize, and I think a home cook does, right? So the pasta water has salt in it, starch in it, has protein in it because of all the pasta, right? So after you cook your pasta in it, I always save some pasta water. It's almost like using a stock that's a neutral stock. So instead of having to have like chicken stock or like a vegetable stock, this is very similar to a stock. It has salt, has everything that you need in it, and it's really just from the pasta. So that's like one of the biggest things that people will go, this sauce is a little bit different.
How long would you keep that in the refrigerator?
I wouldn't keep it per se in the refrigerator. I would use it every time I'm doing it. So like if I'm making a sauce, like if I'm making pasta, I would use it then. I wouldn't keep it.
Couple days?
I mean, if you want to keep it, you could. But anytime you're making pasta, I mean, or anything with pasta, I would definitely, that's something I would recommend. Always take at least, I think, a cup away, to use later. It's really is, one of the things that like people are like, why, what, that and using too much butter. And that's the reason why chefs have, their food tastes so good. So I'm gonna do this. Let's get right into it. So I'm just gonna drain this bacon off on the side. And the other great thing about carbonara, which we said before, is that it's all you use basically this one pan. I mean, one for, I guess two if you want to count the boiling water, which for clean up is pretty easy. But other than that, I mean, I'm gonna make everything in this one pan, so it is very easy. To make one more thing of fresh pasta, so yeah. One more. Now Ari gets to see it. Make one more fresh pasta just so we have enough that everybody can at least taste and touch. But as I said, I will make more with the traditional pasta Just so that that's the way to normally eat it. Now, as I said before, there's a lot of different variations of this dish. Bacon, so people think that pancetta or guanciale, which is cheap. But this bacon is the original and traditional. I mean, they say that because there's a restaurant in Italy, in Rome, where carbonara became famous. That is what kind of popularized carbonara, and they use pancetta. That's what popularized it. So that's what people say traditionally. It is pancetta. Now, I think that it's cool that you can use anything. I have some roasted mushrooms that I roasted today, and I think it's a great dish. You use roasted mushrooms, vegetarian dish that way. You don't have to worry about it. And it's a great way to go. I mean, if you I have peas here. We have some fresh pea shoots that Sarah brought. And it's kind of just, that's not right. That's right into. Go on. Get a cup up there. We're gonna back up. They come out good.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
But I'm gonna pull them, so. Again, that's just, what this process does is actually, helps that gluten, and so when you push into your dough, you want it to kind of start forming back against itself, so it's gonna start, as I push into it, it kind of pushes back on me. And that's really what you're looking for. It gives it a bite, so like when you bite into it, it's not mushy. You don't want like a mushy pasta, and so that's why you want to do this process. We'll do one.
So skinny that you can see it through here. See it. You can see it here.
She would try.
I think like maybe one. I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know, let's see, let's watch.
Caleb, do you have a favorite pasta or
Shape?
the shape, or does it all depend on the?
So,
We ate one.
great question.
Mhm.
I have a favorite shape. I mean, that really depends on the sauce. I'm a big fan of like farfalle pasta. Just because anything that has ridges, because it really does soak up the sauce that much better. So anything that has ridges is my favorite. But like a traditional linguine fini, which we serve at Ciro's, it's definitely up there.
Okay, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, look.
We made
Linguine fini,
fudge.
great name. Okay, so. Top to bottom one, so this is when we
Yeah.
get, this is when we get to have. Another utilized thing here is the grease of the bacon. So that is
Bacon grease.
not going anywhere. We're gonna use it. The reason why the bacon is so good is because you're actually gonna fry this pasta in the bacon grease and toss the pasta. Yes, that's the way to do this, right? So we're gonna get into this again, and we're gonna do it. Okay, so this recipe this is how you make the pasta carbonara. Again, 3 eggs, pretty easy. 1, beautiful. Build a piece. 2, And there. And again, this is, I would say, a good portion of. Good. So when you cook this pasta, it takes all of 20 seconds. When you're cooking dried pasta, 12 minutes.
Right.
You're really just, these, especially something so small, like I said, a thin linguine, if you're gonna do something that has a little bit more texture to it, a little bit thicker, fettuccine, you're looking at maybe 30 to a minute. But it's a very quick and easy, thing to cook pasta. Honestly, sometimes, other than the kneading, if I have dough ready, it's faster for me to do this process and then cook up the pasta than it is to cook up pasta.
No, what?
Oil?
Oil,
Yeah.
what kind of oil?
Like olive oil?
Go through
Oh.
and. No idea.
Just pretend it's right.
Rifle through.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Just gonna, all the oil is doing is gonna, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Baking.
Oh, my God.
So, pasta ready, hands on. And we're gonna make some carbonara.
So you'll keep all of the bacon grease all in there?
I'll keep all the bacon grease for days. I use bacon grease more, for anything. You can saute in bacon grease, you could, bacon grease is not something you want to bake. So this, to make the sauce, it's so easy. 3 eggs, you're gonna grate about a quarter cup of Parmesan cheese. Then you're just putting a little bit of black pepper, which is the only other seasoning that we use. Just a little black pepper. And this is where people will say that traditionally or not, I'm gonna add a little cream to this. What the cream's gonna do, especially if at home, I would definitely recommend doing cream. What cream's gonna do is gonna help fortify your sauce. If you don't add cream to it, much easier to end up making scrambled eggs. So a little cream, just like that. And yeah, just helps it so that your sauce is not gonna break on you. Just means separate, and then you're gonna have, cream and eggs.
So do you have grease in the pan right now? Like, is there still some?
Yeah, there's grease in this pan.
Okay,
There's about, I'd say a tablespoon of grease.
Okay.
In the pan,
that's not much.
and that's what I'm gonna fry this in. So. I like to do it like this. I like to add some bacon into it. Just some bacon. I'm gonna top it with bacon as well. Can't have enough bacon. I'm gonna cook the bacon a little bit. I like to always top it with bacon as well. I think it's just a great aesthetic. And then we're going to fry the pasta into there, put the sauce in, mix it up, and it's plated. This is where things start to move real fast. Okay, that's the side. Okay. Great.
You want the pan really high?
Yeah. Okay, you want it nice, high heat. What you're gonna do is, the reason why you want a high heat is right when you add you're gonna fry your pasta, and that's all the heat you have. You take it off the heat and you put that sauce in, you don't put the sauce back on the heat. You just cook it by itself with the residual heat of what's been on the pan. That's why you want the pan nice and hot before you start frying the pasta. Yeah. Yeah. Add your pasta right in. You're gonna fry this for just. Right in that bacon grease, you know? More bacon grease. Oh, some extra bacon grease.
Yeah.
Fry it up a little bit in the bacon grease. This is where the actual dried pasta is better. Because frying fresh pasta is not what you're supposed to do. It'll stick together like it is now. But we're here. Once that gets nice and hot.
I think when you lift up the pan, it turns off, right?
Hmm?
When you lift up the pan, it turns off.
Yeah.
It's not.
I just, no, it's not, but I just noticed.
There we go. All right.
Yeah, I didn't know.
So usually this I would say is residual heat, but because there's a little bit less residual heat. I might just cook a little bit of it on this. Add a little bit of the sauce into this. Oh, man, I just thought that everywhere.
Don't worry about it, we can get it.
Right. So it comes together really quick at that point. See?
Yeah.
And then you just put it on top.
So it's just 1 minute you cook it?
Oh, yes. I mean, if this pan was a little bit hotter, once I put the sauce in, I wouldn't even take that off. So then I just always top this with a little bit of Parmesan cheese to it. Like to do parsley on it. And
Beautiful.
nice cheese butter on that as well. So now, yeah, you guys can see this. I'll make some for us all eat. How about that, real quick?
Yeah.
Well,
Can I ask a question? Do you ever add pasta water to make it more?
yes, for
Okay,
sure.
because I know I've made it and I've separated the egg, made it scrambled egg.
Yeah.
And then to save it, I just added pasta water, but I'm not a chef.
So, no, pasta water is a great thing to add there. The cream,
Yeah,
if you're not gonna use cream,
Yeah.
that's when you use pasta water.
okay, perfect.
If you're gonna use, it's kind of like at home, as you said, like if it's separated, cream is a great way to just make it so that it's kind of like a cheat code.
Okay,
It's just gonna come together as more of a sauce. Whereas, you know, if you add pasta water, it's kind of more, it's a little bit more temperamental. It's easier to break and stuff, but yeah, great question. Definitely, when I'm making it at home, there are times when I'll add pasta water, take away from the cream a little bit. But cream is a little bit of a cheat code.
Okay.
So, quick one. We'll make a bunch, still on dry. We will do vegetarian as well, I have some bacon that I already cooked off.
Oh, yeah, you need to, yeah, you have to, cause.
No, back.
This mobile unit always stumps everyone or.
One of those ones that it's a challenge. I actually did like a 60-person wedding. With like about a 2-burner stove one, like
Wow.
this. It was probably the worst time of my life. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, and it was windy out. I walked around, saw a grill. Maybe I can use this outdoor grill that's somebody's house during COVID. And they, you know, and I was like, oh, maybe I could use this grill. And it was so windy. Couldn't use the grill. Nothing worse than like when one thing starts going wrong and the next thing, and then it's like, well, this is where I live now. All right, so I'm going to. Chives in there as well. Great chives. Chives are a great thing to top on this. The onion flavor, especially subtle onion flavor like this, is kind of what you wouldn't want to put like actual onion in it, like full white onion or something like that. But a nice chive that has like a more subtle onion flavor, I do think goes great with carbonara. Peas, we have some pea shoots, so we'll do that as well. So I have some mushrooms here. All I did was roast them in an oven, 500 degrees, salt, pepper, and garlic, a little olive oil, about 10 minutes. So the thing about the mushrooms that you gotta be careful with a little bit is the water content. So when you have too much water in there, easily break the sauce. But we'll do one with mushrooms, we'll do one. Yeah. So yeah, this is the good thing about this is once you have your burners right, once it's all ready and you have everything prepped, you can make a lot of them pretty quickly because it's used all once the sauce is in. And I have made a bunch of sauce earlier. You know, all you do is double recipe, triple recipe, however you want to do it. So you just, I mean, if you want to make it, you know, for 30 people, you can just do that recipe by 5, and it's just pour some sauce in, go again, and it's very quick.
Hey, if you're doing it for a big group like that, would you do like 10 different batches of it, though? You wouldn't try and.
I would never do, yeah, I wouldn't try to do, like, you know, say like,
One batch.
yeah, one dish of like, that would be hard. Even we do sometimes for catering, and I'll do, you know, yeah, I'll just rather do eight of them quick than you try to do one like huge pan of it. Again, just because getting scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
Not really.
So all I'm doing is I have some pasta here that I'm just blanching quickly.
Hey, Vic, where can people buy your eggs right now?
Good question. I can order them online on the store, my website has the link to my online store, you can pick them up on Saturdays,
Okay.
that's when the farm opens. but you gotta pre-order them
Okay,
by Thursday.
that's Wellfleet Chicken Coop, chickcoop.com.
Wellfleetchickencoop.com.
Okay,
Yeah, otherwise, I've been providing, marketplace in Wellfleet,
okay.
and then once the market's open, we'll be at the farmer's market.
You'll get Wellfleet.
Correct.
Okay, great, so Wellfleet Marketplace, good to know.
And Salty Market, yeah?
Salty Market?
Oh, yeah, salty, I just brought
Yeah.
eggs to salty.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Something like that, right in a little bit, yeah. A little bit easier to saute with the not fresh pasta.
Mm.
Yeah, gotta save that bacon. Oh, I won't do that. Hard not to flip. Saute with the flip, right?
Yeah.
Well, when it's beeping, when you have it on. Oh, I think it shuts off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On a precarious.
It's the same thing with oil induction.
Well, that's really good. That's the creative sauce. You can use it for that. I can refer it. Maybe we should put the food.
Then give it a quick mix in here.
It looks very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cheese.
Cook it all. Continue to cook it all. This is what you're looking at for cereal and salad carbonara.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Nice little pearl maybe.
How many eggs per person would you do? Is it like?
I would, so for one recipe, it's 3 eggs, and I think that could be, I mean, depending on the size, like this is about 2 eggs, this is about a little bit under a full portion of that. So I mean, to me, that's, I could eat it myself, but I'd say that, a family of 4, I think, if you had one more egg, our normal portion, I think like with broccolini, say something like that on the side, I think that would, family of 4.
Yeah.
So 3 eggs for a family of 4?
Yeah, because it's just a sauce. You're not, that's not what you're, that's not the, it's
Substance.
making sauce.
Yeah.
It's not like you're eating, the egg with it, it's just your. So this is the mushroom one. Same idea, right in there with the mushroom.
So if you're not doing it with bacon, would you do like olive oil in there or
Olive oil,
butter?
yes. You can do butter, olive oil, butter,
Well, I guess.
yeah, and that for sure, you want to just to try that in. Different times. Yeah, and once it starts going, start your frying up. Just add your sauce.
So your sauce looks really nice and thick.
Yeah, a lot, so I
Is
mean,
that cream?
no, that's just cheese.
Okay.
So, when I graded that, I didn't grade a full half cup, like I said a half cup and I graded probably about 1/4 cup.
Okay.
But for every 3 eggs, it's a half cup, so it's a lot of cheese.
Okay.
You're looking at more of the cheese than the cream. The cream, a little bit of cream, but it's really more the cheese. And then, yeah, I guess we can start. If we want to put some peas in here.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can help serve if you
I
want.
don't know why. All 3?
One is we have spades. I love. These are very good. But you know what I've been writing? I've been writing the individual.
Yeah, so these,
Yeah,
chips,
but
I love making them, all it's grated Parmesan cheese. in an oven, 500 degrees, 8 minutes, and you're just.
And
Yeah.
That
It's
is.
just very Parmesan cheese. And
How do you make it stick together?
the cheese just melts
No,
together,
I
it melts, and then when you take it out, the only thing I would say is be careful is take it out, I say maybe closer to 5 minutes, depending on your oven, because it continues to cook. So like when you take it out, it looks like it's maybe not crispy enough, but when you take it out, it'll crisp up and it'll continue to cook.
You let it cool on the pan.
Let it, yeah, and then you just take it out. So if you don't, if you get to a point where you think it's ready, take it off the pan. You know, it's like if you're cooking and you pull it out and you're like, oh, these look like this, take it off, because if not, you'll have a black disc. Yeah.
Yay.
No, it's sorry, but it's like, when you pick it up. it has the water freezes, yeah. But I think that's.
Somebody made it hot.
No, I know, but I just kind of like.